Alright, see if I can't find the stream. Hopefully everything is working as it should be. Hopefully. What? There it is. Game audio is working. And so is the party audio. That is good to hear. Well, the chat's up, the stream's up, we're all good to go. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, hello everyone and welcome to round 5 of the AM1 Championship here on Contest of Speed. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Autodromo Internacional do Algarve for the Portuguese Grand Prix. This 2.89 mile 15 turn circuit was constructed in 2008 and introduced to the Formula One world in 2020 thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic. Formula One's management's desperation to have as many Grand Prix as possible that year meant that the nation of Portugal would return to the Formula One world after a lengthy 25-year hiatus. The most unique part of the circuit is its roller coaster-like nature. No racetrack on the calendar has such dynamic and dramatic elevation change. This is particularly noticeable in areas such as Turn 4, Turn 8, Turn 11 and the final corner, Turn 15. All 4 of these areas will prove to be the most accident-prone sections of the racetrack. A couple of other areas to look out for are the 2 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1, 2 and 3, which tend to work together for overtaking, and the tight hairpin of Turn 5. Outside of these areas, the drivers will be pretty hard-pressed to try and make moves happen. The circuit provides a great challenge and a great opportunity for hopefully some great racing, but before we focus on what's happening out on track, there is some news to go through first from last week's race. Once again, like with the previous races we've had, there weren't any incident reports from last week's race in Baku, so the final finishing results remain unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, Barma 22 is leading the way on 96 points, followed by Vermu on 76 points, so 20 points separating the top 2 in the championship. Next is Darth Vader on 43, Saint on 20, Electric Blade rounds out the top 5 on 19. Next is Burzy on 13, Switchback and Scavney are equal 8th, they're both on 12. Mitch Burns is next on 10, and Cam Tizzle rounds out the top 10 on 8 points. In the Constructors, Red Bull have a healthy lead in the championship. They're on 124. They're leading Ferrari, who are on 89 points. And behind them is Haas on 43, as Damon has left the session. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin as soon as possible. McLaren are next on 39, followed by Williams on 37, Alpine on 27, then Aston Martin on 18, Alfa Romeo on 11, AlphaTauri on 5, and Mercedes at the bottom of the order on a grand total of 0 points. Hello, KD. Nice to see him. And Cam, yeah, hopefully you'll be able to join the session. Hopefully. I know that copying on PlayStation does take a while with the update, so you've got time. You've got an 18-minute qualifying session to try and get in. Hopefully you can, so we can have a 14-car field, and that's slightly better than 13. I'm sure a lot of you would agree. Mr. Garvey here is going to begin a flying lap. We're going to ride on board with the McLaren driver, give you a tour of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Into turn 1, braking just before the 50-meter board, taking it down to 5th gear, then short shifting to 6, around turn 2, and into the tight hairpin of turn 3. 2nd gear, clipping the apex at 50 miles an hour, and heading up the hill and around the notorious turn 4. Very, very tricky corner. DRS open down the back straightaway into turn 5. Hard on the brakes here, bringing it down to 2nd gear, clipping the apex, absolutely spot on. Tidy exit out of the left-hand hairpin. Around turn 6 and into the notorious section of turn 7 and turn 8. Turn 8 is the most noteworthy of these 2 corners. Very tricky corner to get right. Over the crest, down the hill and around turn 9. Back up the hill into turn 10 and then turn 11. This will complete the middle sector. Around turn 12, up the hill into the left-hand hairpin of turn 13. 2nd gear, short shifting up to 3rd, nice and steady on the exit. And around turn 14, the penultimate corner, a long right-hand sweeper, and now towards the final corner. Turn 15, absolutely flat out, all the way around this very long right-hander, up and over the crest with DRS open, crossing the line, and Garvey will set the benchmark, 1 minute 18.113. Now we do have a couple of new names. I did mention one of them earlier. Johnny Damon here is a new name that I haven't seen before. And I believe how you pronounce this is Stony Baloney. Do correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to stick with Baloney because that's definitely how you say Baloney. At least in English. I know in Italian it's different. But I would only butcher Italian, so I'm going to stick with Baloney. Harris Plex is another name that I haven't recognised before. Chewy is another name I've never seen before. And I believe that's it in terms of new names that I've not seen on track just yet. Dream has just recently jumped to the top with an 18.084, just beating Garvey. A switchback goes slowest of all so far, but he's not far off the pace. There's only 1.1 seconds separating those drivers who have set lap times. Stewie's just jumped up to P3 with an 18.778. He's a good 0.6 of a second off Garvey at the moment. Our championship leader, Barmer 22, has just begun a flying lap and is making his way down the back straightaway towards turn 5. Bringing it all the way down to 3rd gear, gently reapplying the throttle in 4th gear. Climbs up a small hill around turn 6 and up towards turn 7 and turn 8. Turn 8, by far and away, is the most tricky corner on the entire racetrack. Really, really tricky traction zone, especially for someone who isn't using traction control. You have to be very careful on how you modulate the throttle. As Vermouth jumps to the top, he'll take provisional pole with the 17.8. See what Barmer can do though. He was reporting a migraine earlier, just before this race started. So, yeah, he's not in 100% condition. Around the final corner, turn 15, and back onto the main straightaway up towards the line. 25% Camwell. Hopefully you will be able to join as Barmer blitzes the rest of the field. No surprises there. 4.5 tenths between the top two of Barmer and Vermouth. Orlando on a flying lap, making his way through the final sector. I imagine, KD, this is quite a difficult racetrack on wheel, but it's also, I know of experience, just a tricky track on controller as well. It's a tricky track in general. There's a lot of very difficult traction zones at several areas around the circuit, so if you're not using TC, yeah, you're going to struggle somewhat. It's even worse in the rain as well, as you'd probably expect, as Orlando goes slowest with a 20 flat. Baloney here making his way through the middle sector, around turn 7 and turn 8. Climbing up a small hill, you can see the throttle input on the telemetry, just being nice and steady on the accelerator as you climb the hill. Then you go over a very steep crest, and you cascade down the hill into turn 9. You can see the shots here, the outboard shots, looking at the cars darting around the racetrack. It really gives you the idea that this is a proper roller coaster racetrack. Like I said, I don't know of many racetracks in the world that have this sort of elevation change, where it's so dramatic, absolutely everywhere. Even some of the great iconic racetracks like Nürburgring, for example, doesn't have this sort of elevation change where you're constantly going up and down. It's absolutely insane. Rosie getting ready for a run. He'll be the next driver to attempt a flying lap. Currently PA with a 19.067. To challenge Paul, he would have to improve by 1.6 seconds. That's quite a lot of time he would need to find. I reckon he could try and aim for a top 5. He would need to improve by a second. We'll see if he can find that lap time. Down towards turn 1, entry speed 203 miles an hour, bringing it all the way down to 126 at turn 1. Now down into turn 3, 3rd gear, modulating the throttle, eventually reaching 4th gear. No, I haven't yet, KD. That is true, though. That's something I forgot to bring up. Obviously, we've recently had a new update as Burzy Doesn't get a great run out of the turn 5 hairpin, but there has been a fairly recent update for F1 22 where they've decided to include the 2023 Alfa Romeo livery. I have seen photos of it. It does look pretty empty because some of the sponsors that they have now on the car for this year aren't in the game. So, yeah, getting touch and go. Cam, hopefully you will be able to join us. But yeah, it's a nice little tidbit. As far as I'm aware, you're only allowed to use it in time trial though, which is a bit disappointing, but hey, at least it's in the game, I guess. Garvey making his way around the penultimate corner, turn 14, the long right-hand sweeper, eventually reaching full throttle just before the outside curb at turn 14. Around turn 15, taking a traditional racing line through the corner up towards the line. It's an 18 flat, not a bad lap at all, just about beating Dream in P4. Electric Blade getting ready for a run. Vermouth beginning a run here, down the main straightaway towards turn 1. What kind of peak speed will we see here from the Ferrari? 202, I believe I saw there. Out of turn 2 and around turn 3. Around turn 4. Back onto the back straightaway with DRS open, heading towards the hairpin at turn 5. Vermouth is up, not by much, but you're not expected to find much time in the first sector. It is only 4 corners. But Vermouth was up by 55 thousandths of a second. Around the double right of 7 and 8. We climb up and over the crest, down the hill, and head towards turn 9. Flat out round the left-hander, up the hill and around turn 10. Nice wide line into turn 10 to try and open up the more important corner that is turn 11. Around turn 12, now into 13. Down to 3rd gear. Eventually reaches full throttle. We get back on the brakes down to 3rd. Back on the accelerator. 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear. And now around the final corner. Absolutely flat out. Keeping a traditional racing line. You tend to see drivers, oh wow, Vermouth's jumped to the top. He's found time. He found a fair chunk of time over the course of that lap. He found just under half a second as Electric Blade jumps up to P3 with a 17.7. Yeah, no, Vermouth did a really tidy job on that lap. He's taken pole away from Barmer. But Barmer, he'll have incentive to go back out to try and improve. Harris Plex has improved as well by just under 0.6 of a second. Orlando was up by 0.4 to the first sector, and he's making his way through the middle sector now. But as I was saying about the final corner, traditionally speaking, you see this from a lot of the top guys, they keep a very narrow line at the exit of the final corner because the car's generating so much downforce that you don't really need to take a normal racing line. Just keep it nice and tight right at the end of the lap, minimize distance and cross the line. Orlando here making his way around the final corner. And yeah, again, bit tighter. That's what you tend to see during qualifying, as Orlando beats Bologna by 1/10 of a second. Johnny Damon here getting ready. Matty Robbo getting ready as well. So hopefully everybody will be able to set at least one flying lap in this session. We got just under 6 minutes left. 5 minutes and 40 seconds to be exact. Matty Robbo makes his way around the final corner and onto the main straightaway to begin a flying lap with 5.5 minutes left in qualifying. Down towards turn 1, peak speed 201 miles an hour. So it seems that Matty might be carrying a little extra downforce on his Williams. Around turn 3, and around turn 4, I was looking at the gear he was in, coming out of turn 3 there. Now, on the brakes here, down towards turn 5, then back up the hill, and around turn 6, up towards turn 7 and 8. Down to 6th gear, down to 2nd gear, 3rd, 4th, over the crest, down the hill, and around turn 9, back up the hill around 10 into 11. He was off the throttle for some time there through that corner. Could have afforded to brake a tad bit later heading into turn 11. It was a small thing though. Robbo's kept it tidy over the course of this lap. Out of the penultimate corner and up towards the line now. All he has to traverse is the final flat out corner. It's nice and simple. In the dry, in the wet, that corner can turn into a nightmare. As Robbo sets a 19.215, he goes, what's that, 63 thousandths of a second behind Orlando. 4 minutes left in qualifying. Bursey's invalidated this run. Dream's getting ready. Garvey's on a flying lap, seems, making his way around turn 8. Up and over the crest and down the hill towards turn 9, keeping it absolutely flat out round the left-hander. Back up the hill and around turns 10 and 11. Reaching full throttle. As soon as he hit the outside curb, Garvey's up by just under 0.2 of a second to the middle sector. With that sort of improvement, he could challenge for P3, but he does need to find some time here in the final sector. He's making his way around the final right-hander, I should say, and up towards the line. Vermeulen has retired from the session. He has retired in the pit lane. Garvey has improved by just under 0.2, but he stays P4 with a 17.872. Dream has bailed on this run, it seems. He's going to try and recharge the batteries and get going again shortly. Your game froze. Appear to be okay now, but I have heard people experiencing screen freezes, but that, typically speaking, there it is, and now you're back in the pit lane. Interesting. Now, Mr. Baloney here, not on a flying lap attempt. His session is over. Harris is getting ready. Bursey getting ready. Switchback getting ready. Who's going to be the first driver to try and set a flying lap? Looks like it's probably going to be Harris. Bummer, meanwhile, he's got a small task on his hand. He has to try and improve by 29 thousandths of a second if he wants to try and take pole away from Vermeulen. Not much of an improvement, but he does need to string the lap together. And there are a few places around this circuit where you can invalidate a lap, as Garvey has rejoined the session with 1 minute and 30 seconds left in qualifying. And no, I have heard of those screen freezes before. Typically, though, you tend to see them in cross-play lobbies, more so than just normal PlayStation lobbies. So, yeah, that's a bit of a strange one. A strange one indeed. Harris making his way around the final corner and onto the main straightaway. Oh goodness, he's moving around a fair bit for me. There's the bot doing what it needs to do. There's the Discord link if anyone wishes to join. No, you won't start at the back, Garvey. You set lap times, so you'll be starting P4. Should be, anyway. Around turn 4, onto the back straightaway. Up towards the first sector split. Harris has improved by 54 thousandths of a second. What about Bursey, who is currently PA with an 18.9? He is well down to the first sector. He was down by 0.2. Chewy's getting ready. Switchback is up by 2.5 to the first sector as he makes his way around turn 7 and into turn 8. Electric Blade making his way through the middle sector. Same with championship leader Barmer 22 making his way around turn 8. Up and over the crest and down the hill towards turn 9. Absolutely flat out round the left-hander. Back up the hill around 10 into turn 11. Down to 4th gear. Reapplies the throttle. Eventually reaches full throttle as Barmer's up by 2.5 to the middle sector. Now he needs to make sure he doesn't invalidate this lap. He needs to keep the car within the white lines. That's the most important thing now. He's found the lap time to take pole. He just needs to complete this lap tidily. using all of the curb on the outside of turn 14. He makes his way around turn 15. Switchback's jumped up to P3, and Barmer 22 will jump up to pole position, 1 minute 17.081. Electric Blade takes away P3 from Switchback. He does a 17.5. So Switchback, not a bad qualifying performance at all. He'll be starting on the second row. Garvey P5. But yeah, Garvey, you won't be starting from the back after the screen freeze. You'll be alright. Dream P6, Harris 7th, Bursey 8th, Chewy 9th. Orlando will round out the top 10. 2.1 seconds separating the top 10 places. Matty Robbo 11th, Baloney in 12th. And Johnny Damon doing some lawn mowing, it seems, in his Williams. We'll have to wait a little while, it seems. Chewy, yeah, well down to the middle sector, so he's not improving. His session is done. Yeah, no, he's giving the grass a good trim around the racetrack. Hopefully this won't take too long for everything to clear up. And we can move on to the race itself. But no surprises, really. Barmer 22 has been dominating this entire season. He's been qualifying on pole every race. He has won every race bar one. He missed out last week after making a mistake that ultimately cost him the win. He ended up finishing second though. He maintains a very healthy lead in the Drivers' Championship. He's got 20 points over Vermeulen, who has qualified second in this race. Hopefully Johnny won't take too long to get back into his garage. There we go. So after a long wait, we'll get the final results screen for qualifying. We can move on to the race. So, even with the migraine, Barmer's put it on pole position by a comfortable margin as well, of just over 0.3 of a second to his rival Vermeulen. Electric Blade P3, followed by Switchback in 4th. Garvey 5th, Dream 6th, Harris 7th, Bursey 8th, Chewy 9th. Orlando rounds out the top 10. Matty Robbo P11, followed by Baloney in 12th, and Johnny Damon will start from the back in 13th position. There we are. Now, race time. Now, because of the custom weather set, we shouldn't be getting any wet weather for the race itself. It should be absolutely dry from start to finish. Just missed out, Cam. Just missed out. But I know what it's like on the PS4, how long it can take to copy. It makes a huge difference when you shift over to the PS5. The PS5 is a much, much faster console. Yeah, if we stalled that long, it might have given you a shot, but unfortunately not, mate. Sorry. We'll only have 13 for the start of this, unless we got, look, the members in the garages. Well, they're not in the garages. They're A-posing in front of the garage. I have never seen this before. Oh, that's quite intimidating. All of the team members that are meant to be in the garage are A-posing in their pit stall. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Ever. Why are they all A-posing in front of the... Oh my goodness. Isn't that something? This must be part of the new update, I guess. Just a small glitch. And they're still A-posing. I think I saw the Aston Martin team still A-posing. Alright. Well, let's have a look at who's starting on what tyre, shall we? We got Barmer 22 and Vermoo. First and second. They're both starting on the hard tyre. And there goes Barmer. Spinning out, just like he did in Baku. But this time on the formation lap. And he's got to be careful here. He might get disqualified. Yep. Alright, so Barmer's going to have cold tyres for the start of this race. And anyone who has raced on this game, single player or multiplayer, will know cold tyres are impossible to drive on. So Barmer's going to have a great time starting. So Vermeer in second. Electric Blade and Switchback, these two drivers make up the second row. P3 and 4. They're both on the medium compound tyre. Garvey P5 on the hards. Dream P6 on the mediums. Harris is in P7 on the hard tyre. Bersey on the mediums in 8th. Chewy 9th on the hard tyre. Orlando in 10th, the only driver starting on softs. Matty Robbo P11 starting on hards. Baloney in 12th on mediums. And Johnny Damon starting from the back on the hard tyre. Alright. Barmer 22. Our 3-time Drivers' Champion. 3-time AM1 Drivers' Champion. Spinning out at turn 4. We'll start from pole position on hard tyres that are stone cold. And Vermood did. That's pretty. That was pretty cool. A neat little 360 there from Vermood as he lines up into his grid slot. That was a neat trick. That was quite cool. His tyres should be nice and warm after that, I'm sure. But all 13 drivers should be lined up, ready to run. There we go. They should be all lined up now. We've got 33 laps in front of us here in Portugal. We've got 5 red lights. And we are underway here in Portimao. It's a nice start from Vermoo as expected. It's a poor start from Barmer. He gets absolutely swamped down into turn 1. Oh my goodness me. A small touch between him and Orlando at turn 2 and around turn 3. My goodness. Barmer has gone from 1st to 8th in 4 corners. Cold tyres, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they do. They provide 0 grip. Side by side, out of turn 5. Matty Robbo gets in front. Orlando trying to fight back around the outside at turn 6. They will turn into the inside at 7 and at turn 8. Robbo runs wide, trying to keep the fight alive, but unfortunately he doesn't have the grip to try and keep it on the outside. He has to slot in behind Orlando, who keeps 9th. Yeah, absolutely balked start for Barmer, but that is expected. As he makes his way around turn 13 and around turn 14. Dream might be trying to line up something here. If he can get a run out of 14, which he has, he's got a run. Makes his way around turn 15 onto the main straight. We could see a pass. Speaking of passing, here comes Electric Blade on the move. Down towards turn 1, he's got pace. Oh, he's not going to go for a move, and Chewy has spun at the final corner. Dream still in behind Garvey. Look at him. He is right behind the McLaren. As he heads around turn 3 and around turn 4. Onto the back straight away. Dream's got a run. Looking to the inside here. Into turn 5. Oh, outbreaks Garvey quite easily there. But Garvey's got a nice... Dream gave him a lot of space. Did he deliberately give that position back? That looked like a legitimate overtake, but... yeah, okay. He decided to back out of it for some reason and just let Garvey keep the position. That looked like a fairly legitimate overtake to me. Yellow's out. It's baloney spinning at turn 8, and that's a reset to track. That is a no-no. Around turn 13, up towards turn 14. 3/10 separating these two drivers. As Orlando gets by Harris, that is for P8. Around the final corner, turn 15, and onto the main straightaway. Blade dumping his battery. Right behind Vermouth, he pulls out of the slipstream, draws alongside the Ferrari, and down into turn 1 he will take position. So, Blade leads, Vermouth now in second. There is Switchback in third. Now, can Vermouth counter-attack? Needs a tidy run out to turn 4. Blade still got grip on those medium compound tyres, so he pulls away, heading down the long straightaway into turn 5. So Blade will maintain the lead. Can Switchback close in? He has. Closed in by a few tenths already. But these medium compound tyres have got some seriously good pace early on. They're going to be charging their way towards the front of the pack. A bit of a wiggle from Vermouth. Nice tidy run out of turn 8 from Switchback. Down the hill around turn 9, then back up the hill into turn 10 and turn 11. Fourth gear, clipping the apex. Not hitting the curb though, but he did hit the apex pretty well. Up towards turn 13, down to third gear. Does he short shift? Yes, he does. All the way up to fifth gear at the exit of turn 13. And that's Johnny Damon who has spun. That's at turn 12. Oh, and he's damaged the front wing as well. You can see the debris on the ground there. So, Johnny will have to pit to get that front wing fixed. Down the main straightaway, Blade leads by 0.8 of a second to Vermouth. There's Switchback in third. Here comes Dream on Garvey. Down the inside, Garvey can't fight that. Dream has so much speed on the medium tyre plus DRS. Garvey could do nothing to try and fight it. There's Berzing and Barmer behind as well, as Stoney Baloney has spun at the final corner. And there goes Johnny into pit lane. Around turn 5, the hairpin, and up towards turn 6. This 3-car battle at the front hasn't ended just yet. Vermouth's still got decent pace on those hard tyres. Matty Robbo gets by Harris. Harris fights back though. They're side by side, heading towards turn 7. Harris with the inside line is able to keep the position as Dream has spun. That is at turn 8, and he drops down to P7 now. So all that hard work getting to 4th now been thrown out the window. He drops down to 7th. Barmer applying pressure, looking round the outside at turn 12. Well, you don't see that all too often. I'm sure Berzee just left him room, lifted off the throttle a bit too, just to let Barmer through. But still, fine overtake around the outside of all places. Oh, he almost unravelled all the hard work he put into that overtake. Had a huge moment coming out of turn 14. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1 now. Berzee with DRS will not close in by enough to attack into turn 1. He might be able to do something if he can get a tidy run through the first sector. Maybe Barmer makes a mistake. But I think Barmer, he's in the zone now. He's not going to make any more mistakes after what happened on the formation lap. Vermouth applying pressure to Blade. Oh, yellow's out. That is Orlando spinning at turn 4. He gets pointed back in the right direction, but he has lost a considerable amount of time. Now well and truly buried down in 10th position. Over the crest, down the hill into turn 9. Absolutely flat out round the left-hander. Back up the hill around turn 10 into turn 11. Yellow's out again. That is Baloney spinning at turn 4. In the gravel, he'll get pointed back in the right direction shortly. Switchback has lost a bit of time to the top 2. Orlando has had a moment again at turn 8. Oh, and he spins it out again into the gravel trap. We'll get going again shortly. Dream spins again, this time at turn 13. It's gone from bad to worse for the Mercedes driver. Oh, and it's gotten even more worse. Deary me. Electric Blade under considerable pressures. Barmer gets by Garvey. That is for P4. He needs to claw away 2.3 seconds to catch up to Switchback, as Orlando has a spin at turn 11. Look, we're going to see a lot of spinning over the course of this race. It's a really tricky circuit, Portimao. And Orlando's actually crashed out. He's had an incident at turn 12. He has thrown it into the wall. Oh, and there goes Johnny in sympathy. Oh, he goes into the grass. Hello, Schulz. Nice to see you in the chat. That's probably going to reset you, Chief. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, what the? How did you end up here? Well, yeah, that's a 10-second time penalty. Yeah, Fair enough. How did he end up there? He was on the grass at turn 13, then he was on the grass in the middle of turn 14. Oh, dearie me. Damon's in the pits, and he got a 5-second time penalty to boot as he retires from the session. Okay, we're down to 11. Around turn 15, the final corner on the racetrack. I've noticed as well that the gap has opened up considerably between Blade and Vermouth, so I'm guessing Vermouth made a mistake while I wasn't watching, and now he's got switchback on the back of him. Now into turn 1, the gap has shrunk to 0.3 of a second between these two cars. Can switchback find an opportunity to try and get by? There's Barmer right behind, 2.4 seconds behind. At the moment, Barmer's got all the pace in the world, even on the hard compound tyre. As Damon has left the session. Down towards turn 5, hard on the brakes here, down to the left-hand hairpin. Switchback pulled it up nicely. He's lost a little bit of time to Vermouth, but he shouldn't be too concerned. Just needs to stay within a second of the Ferrari driver. Meanwhile, Vermouth is trying to get back within that 1 second range to Electric Blade to keep applying pressure, as Dream gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Gap has shrunk a little bit between the top two. Not a great deal, but just a little bit. Shrunk to 1.1 now as they head around turn 12 into the hairpin of turn 13. Nice and steady out to the left-hander, now into the right-hander of 14. The gap shrinks a little bit more. Now the DRS detection zone is right at the beginning of turn 15. Is Vermouth close enough? No, is the answer. He was a tenth too far behind, so he will not get any DRS assistance down the main straightaway. Down towards turn 1, switchback with DRS assistance, trying to keep up with the Ferrari. Meanwhile, Barmer's trying to close in. The gap's still at about 2.4, so he's having a much more difficult time trying to catch up to the top 3 compared to a few laps ago where he was trying to carve his way back up through the field after a poor start. And Vermouth, he's back within a second. He's 8 tenths behind, 7 tenths actually behind the race leader. So Vermouth's got plenty of pace underneath him. Climbing up the hill, over the crest, back down the hill into turn 9. Now into turns 10 and 11. Vermouth losing a little bit of time, that is expected. Those medium tyres should be decent. They won't be great, they'll be decent at best. And now into turn 14. Now, who's got better straight line speed, I wonder? Well, Vermouth should be better in a straight line on this lap. He'll be getting some DRS help down the main straight. He's dumping the battery as well. He's got plenty of battery life. He's got 48%. He's got plenty of battery to play with. Compared to Blade, he's just hit 30% through turn 1. So Vermouth has the advantage in terms of battery life. And he's soon going to have an advantage in terms of tyres, because those mediums are going to fall off at some point. Down towards turn 5. See the nice open wide line into turn 5. Looks the apex. It's a pretty decent exit as well. But that's trying to utilise the full width of the circuit right there as Baloney spins at the entry to turn 14. Around the racetrack that is as flowy as this, you need to utilise the full width of the circuit, and Vermouth demonstrated it pretty well into turn 5. Used all of the curb on the outside to try and open up the tight left-hander as much as possible, so you can carry as much speed through the apex, and more importantly, carry as much speed at the exit of the corner. That is definitely the more important part of trying to open up the corner. Trying to carry speed on the exit. Switchback has spun. That is at the exit of turn 14. He now tumbles down to 5th position. As Chewy has retired from the session, he has crashed at the exit of turn 11, and that has brought out a safety car. Now this is a pretty well-timed safety car for anyone on the medium compound tyre. They can hop onto a set of hards and more than likely get to the end of the race. Chewy has left the session. Now the leaders have made their way by the safety car, so the safety car is dawdling about the racetrack, waiting for the leader to catch back up. You can see the green lights on the safety car. When you see those green lights, it means you pass the safety car. I make mention of this rule because the amount of times I've seen league racing and I've seen people stop behind the safety car even though there's a green light on top of it, I've seen it far too many times, so I have to make mention of it. So what does everyone on the hard tyre do? Did they try and pit onto a set of mediums and try and carry them to the end? Let me see here. I remember taking notes from a week ago because I did a league race here in Portugal last week. According to the game, the tyres can do 15 to 19 laps. That's the pit window that the game suggests. We got 24 laps to go. So we're not close enough to the pit window for the mediums to get to the end. So I fear for everyone on the hard tyre, they have to stay out. Blade comes in. Oh, Vermouth ducks in as well. So does Barmer. Okay. Garvey stays out. Switchback's in. Bursey's in. That's expected. Matty Robbo coming in as well. Well, these guys have pitted onto sets of mediums. It's going to be a hell of a stretch to get them to the end. Probably have to pray for another safety car. Or drive so quickly on the medium compound tyre that you can build a big enough gap so you can have a pit stop distance between you and your next rival. I mean, Vermouth and Barmer are pretty capable of doing that. They would have to pull out a little over 20 seconds, I would imagine, over their next rival, who I guess would have to be Electric Blade on the hard tyre. Because I'm more than certain that tyre can go to the end of the race from here. So we've got a new leader. It's Garvey in the McLaren, making their way down the hill. I haven't seen this camera angle before. I like this camera angle. Why doesn't the game make... The game rarely uses this angle. I haven't seen this too much before. That's a really nice angle. I like that. But I don't think I've ever seen it. Huh. Because you get to see the entry to turn 7. You see turn 9, turn 10 and 11. I like camera angles like that. But no. Oh, I've rarely seen that one. Alright, we should be doing another lap behind the safety car. Yep. Just be waiting on some of the drivers towards the back here to eventually catch up. And now we're down to 10. It means that everyone who finishes will end up scoring points. Well, that should be everyone's goal from here on out. Survive and you'll score something. Scoring something is better than nothing. We'll briefly look away from the tyre graphic for a bit. We'll have a look at some of the other graphics. So in terms of position change, now this has been shuffled around thanks to the pit stops we've just had. Garvey, he's made up 4 spots from the start. Electric Blade has made up 1. Vermouth down 1. Barmer down 3. And that's thanks to his poor start. He was down 7 at one point, down in P8. But he's recovered well. Switchback down 1. Bursey up 2. Matty Robbo up 4. Harris down 1. Dream down 3. And that's thanks to a couple of spins he's had. And then we have Baloney and P10 up 2 spots. His main goal will be to try and survive to the end of the race. In terms of pit stops, everyone's made 1 stop except for Garvey. He's on 11 lap-old hard tyres. Blade's on a set of hards. Vermouth and Barmer are on mediums. Switchback and Bursey are on hards. Matty Robbo and Harris are on mediums. Dream and Baloney are on hards. Look at that. What a neat little thing. Hard, hard, medium, medium, hard, hard, medium, medium, hard, hard. Look at that. Neat little pattern. I love it. In terms of time penalties as well, Harris and Dream are the only two drivers that have penalties so far. Both drivers had 3 seconds each. I should say they're the only two drivers remaining that have penalties. I have seen penalties being dished out to some of the other drivers, but they've now retired from the session. Now we should be doing one more lap behind the safety car. Yep, certainly are. Alright. So once this lap is completed, we'll get back under green flag racing. Here in Portimao, everyone should be A-okay. They all have charged up batteries. They'll all be saving fuel, so if any of them have fuel issues during the opening stint of the race, they should be A-okay now when it comes to fuel. Yeah, it's been some time in AM1 since I've seen the safety car come out. Meet us on track. Mercedes safety car at that, not the Aston Martin one, the Mercedes safety car. I wonder if in real life Formula 1 they've kept the same safety cars from last year. Is it still the Mercedes and the Aston, or have they changed it up, I wonder? Because I don't know off the top of my head. I wouldn't assume they've changed them at all. Man, now the game's just giving me this angle. I hope it sticks with it. I much rather this angle. I like it. Good to see the climb up from turn 9 into 10 and around the apex of turn 11. You can see the apex with that yellow bit of concrete on the inside of the right-hander. Safety car is going to disappear back into its habitat inside the pit lane. And the remaining 10 drivers will get themselves ready for the restart. Garvey will control said restart. He's on old tyres compared to everyone behind him. So he might be a tad bit vulnerable after the first sector or so. Suppose we'll find out. Taking nice and steady. He gets to decide when to go. There he goes. Taking off just after the final corner. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1. We're back on the green flag racing. It's lap 14 of 33. We got a long way to go. Through turn 1. Into turn 2 and around turn 3. The move closing in on Electric Blade. Robbo gets by Bursey. That's for P6. Oh, Bursey spun. He spun out at turn 3. Harris falls down to 8th. He re-overtakes Dream for 7th. And Vermouth gets by Blade at turn 5. Blade trying to fight back. Looking around the outside at turn 6. They'll turn into the inside at 7. And here comes Barmer. Oh, that's tight. And Blade runs wide. Barmer gets the nose in front. It's a side-by-side battle over the hill. Down the... Oh, gee whiz, that was close. Then into turn 9. Those two almost made contact. Fortunately, nothing too dramatic resulted from that. But Barmer well and truly sent it down the inside at turn 7. Try and make that overtake work. Blade had to run wide to avoid contact. It's a shame that he's lost a position as a result. Matty Robbo applying pressure to switch back. Those medium tyres have got plenty of pace. Heading up the hill, over the crest and down the main straightaway. Once again, Garvey still leads. He's doing well on old tyres. Robbo closing in, but not by enough to attack into turn 1. Round turn 2. And down the inside goes Barmer into 3. Another send from the Red Bull driver. Looking around the outside here at turn 4. Vermouth can't force him wide. Barmer getting in front, heading towards the hairpin. Oh, Vermouth trying to fight down the inside. Oh, and half spins the car. He loses time. Blade goes through into 3rd. Vermouth down to 4th place after that half spin. He now has switched back right behind him. 3 tenths, 4 tenths behind. Heading over the crest and down the hill towards turn 9. Now Barmer is directly behind Garvey, and I can't help but feel he's going to get by with relative ease. It's a tidy run out of 13. Now heading around the right-hander of turn 14. 3/10, 4/10 separating the top two. Now heading around the final corner. Buried in the slipstream. Heading down the main straightaway. He's got battery to spend. Pulls out of the slipstream. Draws alongside. And gets in front of the McLaren. On lap 16, Barmer 22 returns to the lead. Bersey a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. Hopefully he can try and keep those penalties to a minimum. So now Garvey has to try. Oh, running wide is Vermouth. He almost put it into the gravel, but Harris went wide as well at the exit of turn 4. Yeah, last time I checked, that Ferrari isn't too good at rallycross, so best to not put it into the gravel. It won't respond too well. Around turn 8, climbing up the hill. Over the crest, back down the hill into turn 9. Moves 6/10 behind Blade. I think he needs to get by Blade and Garvey as soon as possible. Get into some clear air and pull away. Because you're essentially a pit stop behind everybody. If you can't get those mediums to the end of the race, you're a pit stop behind everybody who's on the hard compound tyre. Or I should say fresh hard compound tyre. Obviously Garvey here needs to make a pit stop at some point. Barmer's pulled away. He's got 1.5 seconds over Garvey in second. Blade closing in with DRS in third. He's closing in considerably down into turn 1. Closed in so much he had to back off heading into the opening right-hander. There is Vermouth heading into turn 3, the hairpin. Oh, Matty Robbo's made a mistake at turn 1. He rejoins. He rejoins next to Bersey at turn 2. Fortunately, Ghosting's turned on. Around turn 5. Up towards turn 6. Now could Blade try and find a way by into 8? No. He's stuck in behind the McLaren at the moment. Over the crest, down the hill. Around turn 9. Up the hill into 10 and 11. Tidy on the exit. Down the hill into turn 12. And into the hairpin of turn 13. Garvey's doing a really tidy job on these hard tyres. They're considerably older compared to those behind him, but he's still got decent enough pace to hold them up. He's not getting absolutely swamped by everybody. I have a feeling Blade's going to go for a move here. He's going to open DRS and close in on the McLaren. Look at the overspeed. Unreal. There goes Blade into second. Vermouth's going to close in too. Round turn 1. Here comes the Ferrari with momentum. He'll look to the inside. Dives it in. Garvey leaves him a ton of room. Doesn't want anything to do with Vermouth. The Argentine driver moves into third position. Now around turn 5. Up towards turn 6. Garvey, his next rival, he'll have to try and face with, will be Switchback in the Aston Martin. Garvey will do himself a huge favour if he can stay within 1 second of the move. As probably a lot of you know, DRS is ridiculously powerful in this game. You need to make sure that you have it basically at all times, as Blade gets a 3-second time penalty. Because if you don't have it, you lose so much lap time. Garvey, he's just about outside of it. He's getting close. He's 9/10 off the move. If he loses DRS, Switchback will gobble him up. So, Garvey doing all he can. Bologna gets a 3-second time penalty now. Only 4 drivers left in the race do not have a time penalty. Garvey with DRS, he's dumped all his battery. Here comes the move into turn 1. Not close enough to make a move just yet. But speaking of moves, Dream is going to move by Harris into P6. Vermouth can't launch an attack at turn 3. Gets a tidy run through turn 4. Opens DRS and heads towards turn 5. Vermeulen closing the gap, looking to the inside. He gets in front of Blade and he moves into second position. Now he needs to try and pull away. Try and build a gap to the cars behind. Electric Blade, he'll do himself a huge favour if he just keeps up with Vermeulen. He doesn't need to attack the Ferrari necessarily. Just need to keep up. And he's doing exactly that right now through the middle sector. Matty Robbo closing in on Bersey. 0.6 of a second separating these two. As they head down the hill into turn 9. Flat out round the left-hander. Into the right-hander at 10. Through 11. Third gear. Down the hill. 4th gear. 5th gear. 6th gear. Flat out round turn 12. And up into turn 13. Robbo, he's got good pace underneath him right now. Bersey doing well on the hard tyre. But of course Bersey does have that time penalty to try and deal with. Electric Blade close, but not quite close enough. Yellow flags are out. It's Baloney spinning at turn 13. Robbo will close in with the power of DRS, but not by enough to attack into turn 1. He'll stay behind in 9th position. Out in front, Barber 22 leading the way. He's got 3.5 seconds over this man, Vermeulen, in second place. Vermeulen doing all he can. Try and build up a margin to his rival behind. But Electric Blade in P3 doing a really good job staying within 1 second of Vermeulen. Down the hill around turn 9. Back up the hill and around turns 10 and 11. Down the hill towards turn 12. Garvey doing an excellent job on those old tyres. Switchback hasn't made any massive inroads on Garvey, even though the McLaren does not have DRS. Doesn't help either that Switchback, he is right on the precipice of losing DRS to Garvey. If he was a bit closer, DRS would have a stronger effect. But considering how far behind he is compared to Garvey, DRS isn't going to help him much at all, as Garvey pits in to get off the hard tyre and onto a set of mediums. All the guys are ready in the garages. All of them. Yeah, that has to be a new update glitch. Matty Robbo getting by Bersey. Bersey fights back at turn 2. Down the inside at 3. Robbo tries the over-under. Looking around the outside at 4. Down the back straight away we go. It's a drag race. Ferrari versus Williams. Who's got the better straight line speed? It's Matty Robbo in the Williams. He gets in front at turn 5. Well, that was ballsy at turn 2. To dive it down the inside there and dive it down the inside at 3. But Robbo played his cards well. Went round the outside at turn 4. Kept the pace up. Utilised DRS. And he was able to keep 7th position. Blade, he's now outside of that critical 1 second range to Vermeulen. His new goal should probably be just keep the same pace as the car in front. Or at least as close as you can to the car in front. Because yeah, these two, Barmer and Vermeulen, they're going to have to make pit stops. Is that Bersey spinning at turn 13? Well, he put together a spectacular battle with Matty Robbo in the opening sector, and now he's thrown that battle away, unfortunately, with that spin. But he's maintained 8th position. So long as he can finish this race, he will score a couple of points for himself and Ferrari. Into turn 5, the left-hand hairpin. Using plenty of curve on the outside. Around turn 6 and into turn 7 and 8. Nice and tidy from Vermeulen. Just trying to hit his marks. Little wiggles coming out of turn 8, but that is expected, as I've said before. Turn 8, easily the trickiest corner on the whole racetrack. By a fair way. Blade 1.7 behind. Steadily losing ground. Sort of demonstrating that those mediums still have pretty decent pace. Even after 11 laps. I mean, granted, 3 of those laps were behind the safety car, but still. Those tyres still doing pretty well. Excuse me. Barber New fastest lap, 19.816. Down towards turn 1. Blake continuing to lose time. So he's not losing time just through the corners. He's also losing it down the straights as well. Now, looking at the gaps here in the field, everybody here, they're all pretty well spread out, aren't they? Garvey now down in 9th place. Well, that's the penalty you have to pay for that when you don't make a pit stop during a safety car period. You just lose so much track position to everybody. He's still in the points, which is the main thing. He'd be looking to score. Loney minding his own business in 10th. Barmer out in front. I suppose we'll keep our eyes on this, our race leader, because everyone else in the field are a bit too spread out right now to battle, as Maloney gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Barmer will cross the line to begin lap 24. He now has 10 laps to go in this event. Although this right now isn't the most exciting thing in the world, at least in real life motorsport some exciting things are about to begin. For pre-season testing coming up. Yellow's out. It's baloney. Spinning out at the exit of turn 11. That has not brought out a safety car as well. There's no safety car. The game has decided that with that incident, there's no need to bring out the Mercedes safety car. But yeah, we have pre-season testing coming up, which is, you know, always a nice time of the year. You get to see the new cars, or relatively new cars, updated cars, let's go with that, that's a better way of putting it. Get out on track, you get to see some of the new liveries, some of the old liveries, like with Aston Martin. But yeah, some interesting storylines heading into it, especially over at the Aston Martin camp with Lance Stroll getting into a cycling accident. He'll be missing out on pre-season testing. Mr. Felipe Drugovich will be filling in his slot, and if he's not healthy for round 1, Mr. Stroll, then I imagine Mr. Drugovich will get his seat for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Although I have heard the name Stoffel van Dorn being chucked about here and there with Aston Martin, so I suppose we'll have to wait and see. It all depends on Stroll's health heading into the race. But hopefully he recovers. I mean, I know a lot of people have very mixed opinions about Lance Stroll, but it's never a good thing to hear a driver get injured. So hopefully Lance recovers well. Hopefully for his sake he gets back in the car as soon as possible. Barmer continuing to extend his lead comfortably over Vermeulen here in 2nd place. 5.6 seconds is now the gap. It's just continuing to extend. Blade maintaining 3rd. He's in the hot seat. If Vermeulen and Barmer can't make it on those tyres, then Blade is winning this race. With Baloney's crash, that would have given Vermeulen and Barmer a golden ticket to pit onto fresh tyres and get to the end. But unfortunately for them, that crash resulted in nothing except yellow flags being waved in the sector. That is Matty Robbo spinning at the final corner. Oh dear. Had a bit of a oopsie. It's pointed back in the right direction and gets going again. Bursey now has company. Garvey is closing in. We might have a battle on track here for P8. Around turn 1. Garvey closing in on fresh tyres. Around turn 3, 2nd gear, nice and gently on the throttle. 3rd gear, 4th gear, modulating the throttle well. He'll switch on the battery and head down the back straightaway towards turn 5. Again on the brakes here, bring it down to 2nd. Nice and steady on the accelerator. As he heads around turn 6 and up towards turn 7 and turn 8. Closing the gap through the corners as expected on those fresher, softer compound tyres. Oh, well and truly closed the gap up and over the crest at turn 8. Closed in tremendously through there. Burzy did not get a good run at all through turn 8. Now Garvey can line up the Ferrari as they head around turn 14. Garvey just needs a tidy exit here. He gets a tidy exit. And around the final corner, you keep it nice and flat the whole way around. And DRS should do the rest here. DRS open, he's dumping whatever's left in his battery. Closing up, closing up, closing up. Oh, he will not close up by enough. Oh, but Burzy did miss the apex at turn 1. It's cost him a bit of time. Into the hairpin at turn 3. Steady up the hill around turn 4. A bit of a wiggle on the exit. But Garvey keeps it straight. Just about. Into the hairpin at turn 5. Second gear. Flips the apex. Back up through the gearbox as they head around turn 6. Into turn 7. Oh, Burzy missing the apex there. Garvey had a look. Burzy reacted to that look. And it's cost himself some time. Around turn 9. Around 10. Oh, Garvey braking way too soon there. You can carry it flat through turn 10. It's just at the exit of turn 10 you need to get on the brakes for turn 11. Around turn 14. Not the best of runs through 14, I must admit. Around turn 15, the final corner, and back onto the main straight. Or Burzy running wide, all four wheels off the racetrack. Here comes Garvey to the inside, sends it in. Burzy fights around the long way, runs wide, uses the runoff area. Around turn 3, Burzy locks up, and as a result, Garvey goes through into 8th position. I don't think there's going to be much Burzy can do to get the position back. Out in front, leading the way, Barmer 22. He's making his way around the penultimate corner. And making his way now towards the final corner, turn 15. Burzy now gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Looking at the mini-map, he must have done that at the exit of turn 7. That would be my educated guess. And towards T1. The gap is now 6 seconds between the top two. Blade in 3rd position. That's not Blade, that's a move. That's Blade. Seems with the laps remaining, I would guess that these fellas are going to make it. Oh, Harris is in though. Okay. Yeah, look at these tyres. They are well worn, aren't they? See the tyre wear marks. Alright, he's on to softs. Now down to 9th. Yeah, you can see the tyre wear marks here on the Red Bull when you ride on board. Those tyres are properly worn. So how much life do they have left? That is the question. Can Barmer get to the end? Well, he's been saving battery. He has not dared to spend any battery. Just trying to drive the car as conservatively as possible. It's now lap 30. We've got 4 laps to go. Lap 30, 31, 32 and 33. Bermu in 2nd place. He's out of battery. He's completely out. His tyres are in a similar state compared to his rival in front. You can see the high compound tyre. It does have that definitive mark. But it isn't anywhere near as definitive as what it is on the medium compound tyre. Tell there is considerably less wear. when you compare the compounds and noise you may do again. Alright, so this is it. This is what it's all come down to. There isn't any racing out on track. Everyone's too far spread out for any sort of racing, as Harris gets a 3-second time penalty. It all comes down to the tyres. Can those mediums make it? For Barmer, he's heading around turn 15 and back onto the main straight. He's got 7.5 seconds in hand. He sets a new fastest lap to boot on those worn tyres. They obviously must be still in pretty good nick. Although looking at the gap between Vermeer and Blade, it has come down. The gap has shrunk to 2 seconds. So Vermeer's tyres are definitely going through the motions right now. But Barmer, he's out there flying in the lead, building the gap and setting fastest laps. Down into turn 5. Second gear. Keeps it in second on the exit. Nice and steady. There's switch back and forth. 20 laps old, these mediums. Can they go the distance? Get rid of the tyre graphic for now. It's all inconsequential with the tyres. We know who might be in trouble. We know who isn't in trouble in terms of tyres. What might play a factor is the tyre. Vermeer, has he got a puncture? He does. He's got a front left puncture. Look at that. His tyres couldn't make it. There's 2 laps left. Oh, he has to be so careful. Here comes switchback. He moves through into third. Barmer, though, on similar age tyres, is still going. Harris has made a mistake at turn 8. Gets pointed back in the right direction again. So Vermeer's tyres couldn't make it. They are the exact same age as Barmer's mediums. And Barmer will know what happened to Vermeer. Surely he would know. Can his tyres make the distance? If they don't, this man is in the hot seat to win the Portuguese Grand Prix. But it's all down to those 4 tyres. Can they hang on? Out of turn 11 through turn 12. We're going to ride on board. We're going to keep an eye on Barmer. Up towards turn 14, nice and steady. Look at it. Playing with the accelerator, being nice and gentle. Around the final corner and back onto the main straight. This is it, lap 33 of 33. The final lap of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Turn 1. On the 5th gear, gently reapplying the throttle. Through turn 2. Up towards turn 3, 3rd gear. Pulls it up, makes the apex, gets around the corner. Turn 4. Up towards the 1st sector split. He gets through the 1st sector. Turn 5 locking up on the way in. Tyres probably didn't like that all too much. Around turn 6. Into turn 7. And around turn 8. 4th gear, nice and steady. Up and over the crest, down the hill, and around turn 9 for the final time. Turn 10 and 11. He gets through the middle sector. Only a few corners left. Turn 13. He gets through it. All 4 tyres still inflated. Around turn 14 for the final time. Well, his tyres have hung on. His rival Vermeer suffered a puncture. It meant that he finishes in 8th rather than 2nd. But Barmer, his mediums have hung on. He will win the Portuguese Grand Prix. Blade drove well, takes a deserving 2nd, and Switchback will finish the podium places in third. Dream will come home in fourth place. Cross the line, there he goes. Garvey will be next in fifth, with Matty Robbo in P6. Then it'll be Burzy and his teammate Vermoo. Vermoo will finish in seventh with fastest lap. But what could have been for Vermoo if his tyres hung on for that little bit longer? And I reckon I know exactly what he's thinking. He's thinking, how lucky can this guy be? Same age tyres. Obama, he got his to the end. Yeah, well, your tyres did hang on, and you got driver of the day for it. So, well done. Well, didn't win last week after a mistake. Made a mistake in this race. He had that much speed, he was able to rectify it and win the Portuguese Grand Prix. Barmer 22, your race winner. Second place goes to Electric Blade. Third goes to Switchback in the Aston Martin. The unofficial results of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Barmer 22 is your race winner, with Electric Blade coming home in second, Switchback home in third. Outside of the podium places, we have Dream in fourth, Garvey fifth, Matty Robbo started P11, finishes P6, he gets driver of the day. Vermoo could have finished on the podium, but his tyres gave in. He had to pit, and he'll finish in seventh with fastest lap. Burzy eighth, Harris, our final finisher, in ninth. Stoney Baloney retired from the race, so did Chewy, Johnny Damon, and our first retirement was Orlando. 13 cars started this Grand Prix, a total of 9 finished. Well, there we are. An interesting race at the end when it came to strategy and whatnot. We had a couple of battles here and there, but all in all, it's what you kind of expected, really. Had its moments, had some drama, had some action, but yeah.
Don't forget, you can
Go away. Oh, I'll tell you what, now that it's here we can have a look at this. Didn't realise this. So they actually put it in its own unique showroom and actually have a look at it. Can't wait to see this thing in real life as pre-season testing gets ever closer. But no, she's a looker. And this will be Alfa Romeo's last year partnering up with Sauber, so next year they'll undergo a colour change. This will be the last time we'll see Alfa Romeo on a Formula 1 car, at least for a little while. It's a pity really that the manufacturer hasn't had the success other manufacturers have had, like returning to the fold. Teams like Alpine and Aston Martin have got podiums and Alpine has got wins. And Alfa's been with Sauber for a while and haven't achieved a single podium, but they've achieved plenty of solid results. And it's a pity, really, that this manufacturer will bow out, but, you know, it happens. But we got a new exciting partnership with Sauber. Sauber and Audi for the 2026 season has a lot of promise, and I cannot wait to see how that will pan out. But one final congratulations to the podium finishers, Barmer, Blade and Switchback, well done. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, it's time for us to wrap up the stream. But, yeah, Not the most astonishing race in the world, but you know, it happens. But yeah, time to wrap everything up. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you for round 6 of the AM1 Championship at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.